Go ahead, Shariff.
All right.
All right.
Bow.
Bow, bow, bow. We rolling. Yo, listen. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's a DB podcast. We told y'all in that last episode, our boy Zay, he off in the National Guard Reserve. So
Free
shout
my
out
boy
to him,
Zay.
man. He coming back. It's not like we took him out
Free
the show.
him.
He's here with us. He's gonna be back. But on the more important things, we got a good one for y'all today. And it's a topic that's way too apparent. You know what I mean? In today's age, and it needs to be talked about. So, you know, this is the DB podcast, so we got the discussion board. And for this one, we got athletes and domestic violence. And I hit Reef with that, and Reef said, yo, let's get a little deeper into it, all right? So we're going to talk about male athletes and how they deal or fare against the masculine stereotypes and environments. This is essential. You know, we have to talk about this, and it stemmed from one of the most recent events that have happened. We could take a look at Seattle Seahawks offensive lineman Chad Wheeler. You know, that's really where the motivation to do this came from. Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know, you know what I mean, you got to definitely go take a look into this case. But for those who don't know, a NFL player, offensive lineman at that, I don't even know the words to describe it, but he just really
Tried to kill her.
did. I mean,
He tried to kill her.
simple and plain. That's it. Nah, real talk. But that's exactly how it happened, and it wasn't even really talked about like that. Like I think
Not
I
to the
saw,
extent that I definitely feel like it should.
you should have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be mistaken, but I saw one segment about it on First Take.
And I do also feel like a lot of the media response was a guilt trip.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of them just responded because everyone was calling them out for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think ESPN, if you saw my tweet, like I captioned them on a tweet.
Right.
Saying, talk about this. Let's go. Nah, they didn't see it. But, you know, like, I think that they just felt guilt tripped at the fact that they weren't talking about something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that shouldn't have grabbed a lot more attention, like you said. And the day that I heard about it, the most talked about topic was Deshaun Watson and where he was getting ready to go. And I'm like, wait, hold up. This is something that definitely deserves some attention too. So I'm gonna read a little bit. I got the article here. You know, but just to give you some context on what it was. So it was scans revealed. This is an article from ESPN. Scans revealed a fractured humerus and dislocated elbow in the woman's arm. According to the charging documents, a scan of the woman's chest showed indications that she had aspirated fluid and that she vomited large amounts of blood the next day. According to the documents, she also reported a sore throat, difficulty swallowing and eating, a headache, and pain. The woman told the police that Wheeler, whom she has been dating for about 6 months, has bipolar disorder and that he had not been taking his medication recently. You know, she said he had a manic episode. Not even really sure what that means. And then she also put in that she was crying in pain with her face covered in blood and her left arm swollen and limp against her body. And she also had noticeable fingerprints on both sides of her neck. You know what I mean? Like you hear that and you just want to know like what is going on. Mind you, he's 6'7", 300 pounds. And she, you know what I mean? Like this is the offensive lineman. You know, that's not a regular size human being, yo. And to hear something like that, which isn't the first incident. You know, we've had incidents like this happen before. Ray Rice, Kareem Hunt, you know, just some things that I remember off the top. And it's like, yo, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? What's some of your thoughts, bro? Like, when you just hear stuff like this, when you hear something, you know, to this extent, it's like, what are some of the things that go through your mind, bro?
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, it was kind of hard even hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and it was also hard seeing the pictures too.
Yeah.
You know that because of when they were first posted and things like that. And I'm gonna be completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt a lot seeing a black woman,
Right.
you know, go through
Right.
something like that.
Right.
just having her open herself up to a man, to be a person that's loving and caring for that person, for that same person to do that to you. You know what I mean? I see my sister, I see my mother, I look at my mother, my sister, and, people that I care about deeply in my life.
Exactly.
And I just think to myself, like, this, I can only imagine what a brother was going through seeing something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or a father was going through seeing their daughter like that.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that off rip just, it really touches the soul. But I think one thing a lot of people fail to, grasp when things like this happen.
Yeah.
Is because that's the first thing I thought about. What were the events that led up to this, right? And the first thing I thought to myself was, how could a person, the stage of the NFL is a grand stage, a big stage, the biggest when it comes to football. Yeah, arguably the biggest when it comes to North American sports in general. Right. And the path to get there only grows in popularity and in spotlight as you go up. Yeah. And I just look to myself and I wonder, like, how could someone get through all the stages that we all know you have to get through as a football player to get to this highest level, to get to this highest peak before something like this happens, right? And I'm like, how could that possibly be? How could someone not have noticed something like this coming, And a lot plays into it. It might be CTE, you know what I mean? That might be a part of it. Not saying that would ever be an excuse, but it might be a part of it. Right. It might be the fact that, like they said, the bipolar disorder.
I was just about to say, in this case, they said he had bipolar disorder. So this was something that was known. And they said that he wasn't taking his medications recently. Like, if you know that you got it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's why, first and foremost, like, if anyone, tries to create some type of excuse for this guy that did this, man that did this, like, I can't take it just simply because you had a responsibility. Honestly, as a person, when you reach if you know you have a bipolar disorder, if you know you have a issue with yourself mentally, right, you have that responsibility. So if you decide to go out and interact with people, if you go out and decide to establish a relationship with people, it is your responsibility to understand the limits you can take while having that problem. Yeah, right. If you know you have a bipolar disorder, you have a woman that sleeps with you every day in your bed, why are you not taking your meds? Exactly. So I can't really understand. I can't really sit here and be like, okay, that's a good reason. I really can't sit there and say that. Right.
And to give even more context, I've seen multiple tweets. I know one from Emmanuel Acho, who's real respected in the sports industry. He also does uncomfortable conversations with a black man. He put out a tweet saying that he did that because she wouldn't bow to him. And then we both know that he was surprised that she was alive. He choked her to unconsciousness twice. And then when she regained consciousness, he was still eating his food and said, right, and was like, wow, you're still alive. Like, he was amazed at the fact that she still was alive. So it's like you're saying, this isn't a good enough excuse for this type of behavior. Like, it should never be tolerated. You know what I mean? Like,
and honestly, like, going back to what I was talking about and having, like, where did this come from? I don't want to sit here and point any direct fingers. At the end of the day, I don't know who knew how much about him. Right. But I honestly have to sit there and think how much of this was not known before it happened.
Right. Exactly.
How much of you how would you not realize a person that could try and take a person's life like that only means that they feel comfortable enough to do that. So if you feel comfortable enough to do that, what have you gotten away with before? You know what I'm saying? Now I gotta look at all the mentors, all the people that's been in his life. What have you guys let him slide for doing just because he was an athlete? Exactly. And that just goes into the discussion we were going to talk about. Like, when it comes to a male athlete, what are the situations and the settings that are there that brings fruition to things like this? Right. You know what I mean? Like, and being that we both played male sports, and I will never just sit here and be like any of the coaches or any of the people that mentored me in male sports ever tolerated any such behavior. Right.
That was never instilled in us.
Ever. Never. In all the years that I played sports. Right. But at the same time, too, we could also see that the everyday aspect of an athlete's life, specifically football.
Because this is where a lot of these issues occur. You know what I mean? And we could take it outside even football as well. Like, we could just bring it down to just life in general. When it comes to males, doing these acts, you know what I'm saying, of domestic violence, you know what I'm saying?
There's 3 stages of it. There's a general male aspect, the general male stigma that we have that feels this, which is, males feeling like they are supposed to exert some type of dominance, some sort of physical dominance, to show that they are the supreme, what I mean? And a lot of people deal with whole various type of issues when it comes to that feeling, and which brings fruit to a lot of this. Again, no excuse to why to do it.
Exactly.
Right? Then we have the athletic stigma that's around it. As an athlete, and we all know this, when you're a star athlete, when you're a player that's doing the best that they can at that position, you're making through the ranks. That also brings popularity. That also brings fame. That also brings I'll say the thought, not even the guaranteed thing, but the thought that you're supposed to get the girl, you're supposed to get the woman. You're supposed to get all the girls. And I think that a lot of situations that happen with domestic violence, when it comes to sexual assault, when it comes to rape, and it has an athlete to do with it, I think a lot of it is a part of the athlete believing that he is in some way obligated to get this. You know what I mean? Just because of the work he's put in, that he's supposed to get the girls.
Right.
He's supposed to do
this is what comes with it.
And mixed with alcohol, mixed with whatever things they might be doing that at that moment fuels into that. Yeah. And we as a society obviously has to try and bash that. I wouldn't sit here and say that, to bash athletes for going out there and doing their thing, but at the same time, let's not have this stigma that just because you're an athlete that you're supposed to get the girl. Right. You know what I mean? That
or you're supposed to have a lot of these things that should be presented to you.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, if you put your athletic ability aside, if you were to go into a situation with it, you would win a girl's want, you would win a person's want simply by your character and how you carry yourself. You know what I mean? Go into that situation in that same demeanor. Don't go in a situation like that carrying yourself as an athlete. I'm supposed to do this, And like I said, that plays back into the athletic, culture. But not football, right? Because football is not all this that we talked about the past two, but they're also a consistent dominant battle. Like it's a battle of dominance. Always. In every aspect of the sports too. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a player that was never like the standout, like, oh, he's always going to play type of guy. Your life always is a battle. You know what I mean? Whether it comes to the football field, whether it comes to the weight room, when it comes to the
you're in
room,
constant competition.
It's a constant competition, constant aggression, constant aggression. You know what I mean? And we call it, what's the word that Ronald used to use? Calculated aggression, I think he used to say. You know what I mean? We try to call it that. And in the purest, best form of the sport, it is that. Yeah. But a lot of people don't get to train themselves to get to that point where they have calculated aggression.
Right.
Not only on the field, but off the field.
Right, exactly.
So when you're in a situation where you feel like you have to put all full aggression in every moment, every time, and it's a sport that you see yourself doing, what, I'll say 70% of your week, 80% of your, you know what I mean? It gets to a point where that aspect of your life and that character of your life transcends into what you do as a regular person.
Right, yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it starts to overlap.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy that you bring that up, and I love that you bring that up, because one of the main things that the coaches used to say to me when we was at Pace was that I wasn't physical enough. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't displaying that amount of aggression and force that needed to be in order to play this game. But I'm like, you know what? I know when to turn it on and turn it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a situation where I need to be physical, then I need to be physical. But if that's not always the case every single time, then I'm not going to take those measures. You know what I'm saying? And that's just on the field. And I want to get to that off the field aspect, because to me, in my opinion, you know what I mean? It may be different for everybody else, but I think, like, the makings of a true man is knowing when to check your ego. You know what I'm saying? Knowing when to put your pride aside and to relinquish power in certain situations. Like, understanding that you don't always have to be the dominant force in the room. And I'm not saying that you can never, because there are situations where you need to assert yourself. But it's just knowing, when to dial it down, or knowing when to turn it up.
And it's no fluke when people say that being an athlete definitely, if done right, gives you a benefit within the rest of the world life, because being an athlete is life. The same way that you're explaining how to be able to use certain things in certain aspects is the same way what you're talking about when you said that there's certain times I need to be physical in the field and not be physical.
Exactly.
You just got to know in what instances you have to do certain things. And so that's why I think that a lot of times we say that a coach, in the athlete's life, should not only be a coach on the field, but a mentor off the field as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because it's simply just because as much as you're teaching, yourself that you as a coach have to teach this young man how to calculate their aggression on the field, because that they're not matured enough to be able to do that on the field, right? So what makes you think they'll be able to do that off the field?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's that same situation where it's the same type of management of anger, of emotions. And we got, at the end of the day, we're talking about how physical and how constant aggression the game of football is.
Yeah.
Now let's also put in the fact that we're talking about 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds. You know what I mean? We're talking about young people doing this. These young people with a whole bunch of aggression.
Exactly. This is an issue that's way deeper than, just what we see in the NFL. And, like you're saying, it's easy because we play this game. There's a time where you have to have physicality, and then there's a time where you have to have finesse. So it's, playing this game, it's easy to just blame it on the game and say, you know what, I play football, like this is just it's a part of me now. It's constant aggression, it's constant physicality. But to me, it's easy to lash out. Like if you faced with a problem, especially in your life off the field, off the court, it's easy to just approach every situation that's uncomfortable for you to just say, you know what, let me just handle it this way. You know what I'm saying? But in order to be composed and to practice self-control, that takes true strength. Like 100%. It's not easy to do that.
I'll be one to say myself personally, and these two guys sitting here will be attest to that. I have definitely struggled.
Shout out to Arbo.
Yeah, he's still back there. Don't forget about him.
Thanks.
Don't forget about he's still back there. But I definitely struggled with that myself. 100%. I struggled with controlling when to use my emotions, how to use my emotions, to what extreme do I use my emotions, and simply just because me being already an emotional person, football, I personally think that I'll say that in the beginning didn't help it at all.
Right.
But then as I reached the latter stages of my career, became more mature, it helped it. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the same growth that other players and athletes need to make in the time that they're playing when they're younger athletes. And obviously, like we said, the mentors and the coaches there have to help them guide that growth. You know what I mean? Because then we get to a point where we have a person in the NFL doing what he did, and even though he is 100% responsible for all the actions that he's committed,
exactly.
Like I have to say again, how is it that this is not being noticed? Definitely have been signs of this before that someone could have done something about before it reached to this point.
Exactly.
Because you giving more power to a person that already doesn't know how to control what they have.
Yeah, talk about it.
You know what I'm saying? So how could you expect them to do any better?
Exactly.
You have to be able to stop them first, get them to understand certain things.
Just about to say,
before you keep going.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? My dad always says that at certain points in life, you're supposed to have known or learned certain things. That's just how life goes.
Right. Real talk.
And physical behavior, mental behavior, all those aspects are one of them.
Yeah.
And just like everything else, some people are a little short-handed than others. But at the end of the day, we all have an individual responsibility to work on ourselves and also to work on the ones that we care about when we see they're going through things.
And that last point is definitely something that needed to be resonated with those that were involved in that situation, especially because you knew that he had this condition and wasn't taking the necessary means. You know what I mean? To at least somewhat control it, because it's not going to go away, but at least you can have some type of control over it with your medication.
And I can't, I'll say, I can never sit here and blame the woman for what happened.
Because she didn't ask for that.
She didn't at all.
And even still, you shouldn't bring yourself to that point to where
that has to happen.
You act like that.
But at the same time, too, I'm thinking, I like people like her, people like the other people in his life that were close to him, that knew him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Should take that there's something that you all, even though, like I said in the beginning, it's an individual responsibility, but that's something that everyone around you as a group have to work on. Yeah. You know what I mean? To try and make everything better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna put it on his brother, whoever in his family.
Right, exactly.
Definitely probably knew that he wasn't taking them.
But and knew that this was an issue because you were around him his whole life. Like, this is something that that he should be working on. You know what I'm saying? And something that you should know that when he's getting involved into an intimate relationship like that, you make sure that he's doing what he needs to do, not only for himself, but to protect her as well.
Exactly. You
know what I'm saying? Like, there should be no reason that he backslides like that. And then they end up in something like this. The fact that he choked her to unconsciousness twice, not once, but twice,
is ridiculous.
Because she wouldn't bow to him? I mean, granted, we are supposed to be kings, right, in our own right, but beside every king is his queen.
Yeah, not in that way at all. King, that's not how a king
acts, right? Not behind. Beside every king is a good queen. You know what I'm saying? So you got to treat her as such. To get to that point, unacceptable in my eyes.
Yeah, and I just also want to shout out to a huge point that I made. We also cannot ignore the fact of it not being coincidental that this didn't make as much headlines as it should have, and him being a white man.
I was just about to say, go ahead, talk about it. I was just about to say, go ahead, talk about it.
And before I continue, this is no attack on any individual white person.
Right.
There's no attack on you being white as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm a Christian man, and my Christian beliefs tell me that I should love every single person.
Every single person.
Just
Your
the same
enemies,
way.
your neighbors,
Because
all of that.
At the end of the day, we're all the same people under God.
We made in His image.
You know what I'm saying?
Real talk.
But I just can't sit here and not ignore the fact that this is just adding on to the institution that we see that benefits for the white man. You know what I mean? Some individuals may not continue to fuel that institution, but overall the institution that is being fueled today is providing and benefiting for the white man. I just want to understand. I just can't seem to understand why, and this is no way to compare, tragedies or instances. At the end of the day, what Ray Rice did was completely and utterly ugly and disgusting.
But the thing is,
he deserved every single.
Everybody knew about it,
and he deserved all the punishment that he got.
Yeah.
He deserved all the punishment he got.
It wasn't right in anybody's eyes at all.
I looked this man in his face, and he came to our when we came to our school.
He came and talked to our
school. He talked to us, and he talked
Yeah.
about what happened, everything that happened, and I felt for him, and I was like, all right, yeah, like I understand. I feel like maybe you could do a change. Maybe you have been a changed man, but the consequences that you face, you deserved full and well. And I knew me seeing you,
Punishment fit the crime.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But why is it that we don't see the same punishment for this type of situation with him?
Thing.
You know what I mean? And
they were playing that video left and right.
I swear I seen the Ray Rice video like 100,000 times.
100,000 times. But how many times? I bet you people don't even know the name of this dude. We know Ray Rice. The minute you hear Ray Rice, you automatically think about the incident in the elevator. Automatically, you hear Chad Williams, like, who's that?
And yes, granted, Ray Rice was definitely a much more prominent star in the league than Chad Wheeler is right now. But at the same time, too, he's playing for a much solidified organization like the Seahawks. You know what I mean? An organization that prides itself in being a cut image, perfect image.
Same team that Russell Wilson played for.
Russell Wilson is a Christian, wholesome man.
Right.
Like,
Sierra and all that. We know about their relationship. This man
mean?
Plays on the same team as them.
Yeah. My son Future got his head messed up. Let me not say that. Yo, but you know, it's just like I just need to see more. And it's like, and I'm not saying that what a lot of people will hear this and take is that he's asking for black men to get a freebie, a cutoff for this.
Nah,
I'm not saying that at all. We should face consequences for situations that act like that.
Yeah,
but they should too. You know what I mean? And it's just because if you make that instance, it's only going to make everything worse for our whole entire society. You know what I mean? Because keeping them on the streets and keeping them in society and keeping them as excused and it's going to be better, this, that, and the third, can give them opportunity to hurt any woman. It doesn't matter what race she is.
Continue to do it, bro.
It don't matter what race she is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You see it today. We're not saying this because we don't want to hurt white women. We did it to a black woman.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're a risk to the entire society. You know what I mean? And too much of the time we see black people being painted out as more of a target and risk to society, doing the same things that we see other white people do.
Real talk.
And I think that this definitely needs to be addressed.
Yeah, it's unacceptable across the board, no matter what color you are. Stuff like this should not be happening, especially on the pedigree that you are on. You know that your career is under a microscope. Not to say that you got to be perfect, but you can't make mistakes like this. You can't slip up like this. Like even Ray Rice and then Kareem Hunt. Whenever Kareem Hunt got into that incident, I don't even think that it was anybody that he was intimate with. I just think it was just somebody he happened to come across or maybe was talking to for a little bit. Where he kicked her. I think he knocked her down and kicked her in that hotel. They was playing that video like crazy too.
Yep.
And they wanted actions to be done against him. But you mean to tell me that this man choked her to death, if we keeping it real. She just happened to regain consciousness. Choked her to death, was surprised at her survival. And you mean to tell me people don't know about this? Or you mean to tell me that you get one segment on ESPN and the rest of the day, real talk.
I haven't even heard anything from that.
Nothing.
After that first, nothing. Nothing, bro.
Yeah, that same day they was talking about Deshaun Watson all day. We gonna have time for that. We could talk about Deshaun Watson now. But the minute that incident happened, mind you, this was back late January. It's the end of February. Still have yet to hear about this, yo. And stuff like that is unacceptable. We can't have that happen.
It's crazy.
We can't have that happen, and we shouldn't wait till it gets that far to address it. That's why we having this topic, a discussion now. It's because we want to reach those who see it to stop it in the tracks now. We trying to nip it in the bud before some other kid comes up and does the same thing. Like this is not only, like we said, it's not only just a football issue in the NFL, and on that level, this addresses way further than the football field. And it's not just kids our age or adults older than us, but it starts when they little too. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time dude said a story in our IG chat with where they had a 12-year-old kid or something like that at a stripper a spot or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now if you expose him to something that young, that's how he's going to see women. You know what I'm saying? He's going to see them in that light, like, yo, hold up. You know, she's doing what she's doing, which is nothing, no knock against
She as
her.
an object.
Exactly. I'm throwing
She as
money
an
at her
object.
at 12 years old. Are you serious right now?
You see her as an object.
like you can't allow him because he starts getting that in their head. Like, yo,
Putting
so
a price on a person's life.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm glad you touched up on that because I wanted to talk about that too. I wanted to forget the athletic or sports aspect of it.
This is
I want to talk
life
about
in general.
men and their relationship with women.
Talk about it.
Right? And even though we don't see extremities like this in situations where a man tries to take a woman's life, you know, him saying that before he did bowed me. You know, like it speaks to me. And it's not to speak to me because I feel like, oh, like men are really out there. I mean, definitely probably are. But the men are out there going like to their wife or to their girlfriend or something, bow to me.
Bow to me.
You know what I mean? They're not literally saying that. But I think that men, you know, continue to have this notion as if there is some type of what's the word I'm looking for? Submission that comes. And
that's a good one.
And granted, there is a certain type of submission, but not in a submission of lesser of a person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not submission of lesser as a person.
Right.
Submission as in the same submission that a man has to make too, in terms of lessening your own opinion, your own voice, to be able to get the greater good.
Like I said, relinquishing power in certain situations.
Exactly. And so, you know, I think that men have to start to realize that. You know, that it's gone are the days where our grandparents, you know, and our great grandparents lived where, you know, the man was, even though, you know, head of the household and everyone fell way below. Yeah. You know, I mean, gone are the days where, you know, a man was able to assert just straight dominance throughout his relationship with his family and his wife, and everything be smooth and silky. Yeah. Right? You know, we have to understand that that's for the betterment of the good, because at the end of the day, the women that we have in our lives, the women that are going to end up being in our lives, are supposed to be that perfect matrimony and harmony with you. You know what I mean? Right. Whatever they have to say, whatever their willpower is, whatever they think, if you choose the right woman to be by your side, it's only going to benefit you. Only. You know what I mean?
Only going to benefit you.
It's only going to benefit you. And I was never one to think that a man, you know, at the end of the day, a man does lead the family, does lead the relationship. But I was never the one to think that everyone stands directly behind him. You know, I always imagine, you know, your woman to be that person that's right by your side, making the decisions with you. Right there by your side. You know what I'm saying? Making the decisions with you.
And that's how it should be. And that's the area that we living in now. You know what I'm saying? And there's some women that are out there who are truly independent. They want a relationship because you know they want that love and support and everything that comes with it, but they don't necessarily need you. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of women are independent nowadays, but because they're with you, it's because they want to be.
And it's funny because, you know, when I was I mean, as my boy know, everyone else know, I do have my girlfriend Madi. You know, we
shout out to Madi.
Shout out Madi, even though she barely watches our video.
Yo, real talk. We want to get on her about that.
But you know, being that the independent woman that she is, you know, I know that a lot of my struggles with her in the beginning stages of our relationship was due to that. Yeah. Due to me feeling like a man is supposed to establish and do certain things. You know what I mean? And you begin to realize the more and more that you realize there's more of a two-way plan than it is a one-way plan, the more and more everything becomes to be more and more beautiful. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So us as men, man, like I feel like we have to push that. Like us as men just have to realize that we do. You don't always gotta be the man.
You don't always have to be the dominant force.
You don't always. At the end of the day, it's mentally I don't know about y'all, but it be mentally exhausted to be like that.
Draining, yo. It's draining. I'm not going to hold it.
It's mentally exhausting,
It's draining, bro.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I want to be able to, you know, just take a chill.
Yeah, and be like, yo, babe, we got to take care of that.
You know what I'm saying? And like, Because situations like that, when he's saying bow to me, like even
Yeah.
though I don't hear men literally saying bow to me, I hear that in some of the tones I hear men speaking with their women.
Yeah, it won't. It's not necessarily those words, but
I hear it in the tone. I hear it in the language that they use. I
exactly.
hear it
In their
behavior that
actions.
they have. You know what I'm saying?
Now. Come on now, yo, it's something that we got to put it into. You know what I mean? Because stuff like this cannot happen. It cannot happen. Like you gonna have your struggles in relationships. We never gonna say that, but the point to where it gets you to do those type of actions is crazy to me.
I can never.
Like, I mean, it's we were raised right, and I'm sure he was too. I'm not gonna knock that, but
I don't know.
God
forgive me, but I don't know.
Yo,
bro,
you know what I'm like? We don't know his situation, so we're not gonna sit here and speculate. And stuff
it
like,
might not be his fault that he wasn't raised right.
But it's just the fact that to really put my hands on a woman, could never do that. But then to strangle her,
I mean, I couldn't see myself strangling any human being.
Unless I had to. Whereas my life with yours, but that's not the case. You feel me? That's not the case.
Especially being like, and not to say this, because this might come off the wrong way, but not to say that women are delicate or fragile or anything like that. But for me personally, like, at the end of the day, as a man, your physical dominance, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I personally know and look at myself and know my strength. And I looking at a woman, like, knowing there's no way she could even defend herself in that situation.
He's 6'7".
You're more of a coward than anything at that point, bro.
Pounds.
Like, you know they can't do anything.
Yeah.
If you felt that angry, bipolarly angry, find a man on the street and go beat him up. If you really like that. If you really like that, bro, go find a man on the street and beat him up. But to do it to someone that you, imagine you
that you're supposed to love.
Imagine him being that big, beating up on a midget. And imagine the news out of me. He would look like a coward, right? So why does he look any less of a coward doing it to a woman?
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and this dude was 27 years old, so it's not even like he's 27. You should know right from wrong. You should know that this is something that you don't do. 27 years old. I knew that at 15, 16. You know what I mean? But it's just like we said, it's an issue that needs to be talked about a lot more.
My dad used to beat the hell out of me when I used to hit my sister.
Yo, you just something that we were taught. Like, you just don't do that, yo.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Like, sister, mother, whatever it is, bro. Your significant other, you just don't do that. Even if even if you frustrated and you get to that boiling point and you just really want to just like let some frustration go.
I put a hole in the wall before I do it.
You can't, bro. You just can't. Like this sometimes even if I get to that point, I'd be like, yo, that's not you.
I'm not
because once you do that, there's no coming back
from that.
There's no coming back from it, bro. Like, you can't fix yourself to say I'm sorry because
forget even me. Like, I'm not even thinking about me in that situation. Forget me coming back, bro. There's no way you're coming from.
There's no way. Yeah, there's no way you're coming back.
There's certain things that you just gotta think about. Like, forget you and how you feel. Like, what is her life gonna be like past that?
Beautiful. Yeah.
What is her life about to be like?
Exactly.
Past that? You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's bigger than you.
Like, it's not only you that's being affected by it.
Exactly. That was something that needed to be said. But yo, for real, man, I hope y'all listen to this. Take what we said, let it marinate, because it's a message that needs to be disseminated to a lot of people. And maybe people going through it right now, and maybe people who's trying to prevent it don't want to go through it, and we don't want you to go through it. That's why we're talking about it. We always going to talk about the rest of them sports topics, but this is something that needed to be said. The conversation that needed to be had. So, yo, we hope this really resonated with some people. We hope it touched some lives.
Facts.
Change some lives, change some hearts, because this needs to end. We need to put a stop to this. For real.
Facts.
Check us out, man. Hey, we on YouTube at DB on TV. We on Instagram at what we on? At _DB_podcast. We on Apple Podcasts. We on Spotify. You feel me? We on Spotify now, baby.
Yo,
big dog.
At this point, if you're not tapping in with us, what are you doing?
Yeah, yo, we here with it, man.
We everywhere. We global now.
We got the new setup.
We
all
global.
Of that, man.
He got the polo on his chest.
Whoa. He got Tim's on, but y'all can't say. He got Tim's on.
Wait, yo, he got ones on back there. Yo, he got ones on back there. And they both got fitteds on. Yeah. They wildin'. I want me to look like a bum. They try to do me. It's crazy.
But yo, these are messages that we coming with now. We could talk about Lakers and where Deshaun Watson going to, but these are conversations that needed to be said, needed to be had. So
yo, bro, mind you, speaking of Lakers, bro, Why they got me shook like that, bro? Yo, the Nets. Yeah, we're not even gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
right
about
now.
to say this might get cut out anyway. But yo, check us out. We hope y'all tuning in, man. Subscribe, all of that, yo.
Outta